Okay, greetings YouTube. So today I figured it was a good time to do an overview or a kind of retrospective looking at the Action Force line from Valaverse. So I thought it was a good time to do it because a lot of people are getting Series 2B and the collection is really starting to flesh out now. So as far as the characters that I have pretty much everybody except for the original Steel Brigade and the second version of Sergeant Slaughter. I think that's the only ones I'm missing. So take a look here. I'm not going to get real deep into any of the individual figures. I'm kind of just going to talk about them very quickly, talk about the bad guys, talk about the good guys, and then show off some of my customs. So let's have a look. Okay, so if you've been paying attention to Valaverse and Action Force and all of that type of stuff, there was some, I guess, controversy per se when Series 1 first came out about the build and the materials that they used to make the figures, because many of them were very rigid, very stiff, very tight, and people were breaking stuff because they were trying to, move stuff around and it wasn't working real good because it was too stiff and needed to be heated up. They even put a paper in with your order telling you to heat up your figures. That was the biggest kind of negative going into the line. The stuff still looked great. It just had that issue. According to Valaverse, he had told us that Series 1 and Series 2A were made at the same time in the same factory with the same stuff. So we knew that Series 2A, the first kind of half of Series 2, was going to have a lot of the same issues. And we knew that going in. However, moving forward from Series 2B on, he had said they were going to make some tweaks. They were going to make some adjustments with some of the stuff, some of the materials, the plastic, whatever they needed to do to get the figures to move better. And I can tell you from experience, having quite a few Action Force figures, the difference between Series 2B and the original ones we got, and even Series 2A, big difference as far as, them being able to move right out of the package. Since Series 2B, I haven't had to really heat anybody up. The only time that I've heated up figures is if I'm taking them apart to do customs. So now we're going to take a quick look at the good guys that we have gotten so far. Okay, so quick look here at the good guys. So just want to say before I get started here, I have been tinkering and customizing with some of these guys. So some of these guys that are main characters do not have their complete original look to them because I've switched their head on another body, or I've modified them, or some of them I've completely redone. But these are those main characters for the most part, although I'll talk about the other one here in a second. But so here on the left we have Condor, and he is like the leader of Action Force. He is your stand-in kind of for a Duke archetype, who is the guy who is a field commander. We have Trigger here. That's the Trigger head anyway. And the body is from Duster, the Tim Kennedy figure. When I first got both of them, or when I first got Trigger, I saw it and I was like, it looks like that Trigger head with the olive drab green hat would go a lot better on the Tim Kennedy body. So that's what I got going on here. This is the original Trigger body, which I've also customized and put a different head on, some different gear and such. All right, moving on here, we have in the middle, this is Desert Rat, and it is based on a real person who was actually in the military overseas, I believe in Australia and in the United Kingdom. He is also a YouTuber. I want to say his channel is called Analog Toys, and I think his first name is Tony. Then we have this Night Ops Steel Brigade figure. This is pretty much brand new. This is a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. The beauty though is that even though it's an exclusive, you can go get one right now. There's a whole bunch of them in stock at Big Bad Toy Store. Then on the right here, the last one, we have, this is my version of Rollout. So I have outfitted him in completely new clothes. I think the only thing that I kept was his pants. I gave him the torso from the Delta Trooper. I gave him, his arms are the same too. His arms from the bicep down. I changed out the gloves, painted the gray arm part here green, and then kind of matched it up a little bit with the shoulder, because the shoulder was already green because it's from the Delta Trooper. And then he has a bunch of gear, some of it from Valaverse, actually probably half of it from Valaverse, and then some of it is just from my fodder of military bits and pieces. So those are your good guys so far. I did mention the Delta Trooper. He's basically just a generic trooper in all green. And the generic army builder type guys you can make really into anything. That's the beauty of this line. It almost reminds me of Marauders in the 1/18 scale. You can get, a whole bunch of different combinations going with all the different characters and all the generic characters that they have. All right, let's take a look at the bad guys. Okay, so moving on, we are going to focus on the bad guys now, or the guys that are the antagonists to Action Force. So here, one more thing too I wanted to mention as far as the good guys go. There is the regular Steel Brigade figure that I don't have yet because I had my order with BBTS, and if you know anything about that, that order was delayed for about a year and a half, but it's in now, so it's coming and it's available. But here we have Karak. He is a Series 1 guy, and he is, one of the very unique looking characters in the line, especially with the medieval helmet, and that is removable. Get a nice face sculpt there. And we also have Bone Collector. He's also another one that was a Series 1 figure. And you see his head sculpt there. Again, all of these guys are very well designed, very well put together as far as, quality. We just, they were just kind of stiff that first series. And now that that's solved, Action Force is looking really, really good right now. This here is the one that a lot of people really were drawn to, including myself. This is the Swarm Trooper. He's a little bit more on the sci-fi tilt, but this is a very awesome look. It's a very well-designed figure. It looks spectacular in hand. This Hornet / B or whatever yellow jacket type gear is a separate gear pack. So if you want a complete trooper, you gotta get the figure and that gear pack. Otherwise, you just have, it's still cool, but those wings and that shield, that's almost a must-have if you're going to get one of these guys. Next up here, we have the Scarabs. And these guys are in the same, I guess, regiment or group as the Swarm Trooper. Very similar armor, but no wings, and they have the different head, which is cool as hell. Like, it's just spectacular looking. There was a QC issue with the first batch of troopers, or of Scarab Troopers. There was something wrong with the legs, and people's were snapping at the drop down joint. That seems to have been solved as well. I haven't had any issues with mine, so it looks like they caught that early on, and now we're good to go. Then the next guy here is the Cavalry, Garrison Cavalry. So these guys serve under Karak, and that is probably why I'm assuming they have the medieval motif going with their mask. Cool thing about this one is that the mask folds up to reveal a face sculpt under there. One of the hooded guys, or balaclava guys. Very, very awesome figure. This guy is just really cool looking, very striking as far as the colors, and this helmet, while it may seem kind of weird, it makes them very unique as far as figures that you can army build. And then also tons of customization possibilities here, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so now we will take a look at some of my customs. So over here, this guy here, I'm still working on a name for him. This guy was made from the Spec Ops trooper that you can get from Valaverse. Basically, it's just a generic trooper in all black, and he comes with two heads, either a head like this or one with the lighter skin version. I've added a bunch of different third-party parts to him, some from casters, some from eBay, whatever the case, some of them from G.I. Joe Classified, and now I got a cool-looking operative / assassin or whatever. These other guys I showed a little bit of earlier. Again, this is my version of rollout. Basically, the head is for rollout. That's his original head. And then I've added a whole bunch of other stuff to him. Turned him into a Marine, basically. I just, the original rollout character, I did not think he was badass enough. So that's why I went with the customization with him. Then I got the trigger body with this custom head that I got off a guy on eBay who custom paints heads. I believe this is the Star Wars Black Series Hunter head. People were using it to make a custom spirit. I like that idea, as far as it does look like maybe this person is First Nations or an indigenous person. So, and the skin tones matched, so I went with it. And then we have this guy who he is basically just like a generic trooper, maybe a heavy artillery trooper, a heavy gunner. This is the Sergeant Slaughter version 1 body. The pants, the boots, the torso, which is covered up by this big, vest that I got him on, and the arms, that's all Sergeant Slaughter. And then I used one of the Delta Troopers, I believe it was a Delta Trooper's head. This is the helmet from the heavy duty roadblock from Amazon. So a nice looking generic trooper. Last but not least, in the custom category, here we have this figure has, let's see, the boots and the pants are from a Garrison cavalry person. The arms are from the bicep down is the cavalry guys. The torso is from the trooper, the generic trooper that had kind of the Firefly kind of camouflage. This vest is from one of the gear packs. This is the Killmonger head that's been a little bit modified, so he doesn't have dreads anymore. We got a third-party night vision here. I believe that gun is Valaverse, so yeah. Lots of different parts come together for an entirely new character. Then here, this guy is made up of many of the different accessories from Rollout. So he had this like teal or whatever this is, aqua colored gear. And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't feel like he looked badass enough. And that's why I turned him into that Marine. But I like this for a specialist type person who's maybe like a pilot or somebody who drives some kind of watercraft or something like that, that fit better for me as far as my purposes go. This is mostly that trooper body, but the torso is from Rollout because it had that teal to go along with his vest. And then I just repainted the camouflage on the shoulders so that it blended in a little bit. This head is a Crossbones MCU, and then the goggles are from a Cobra Viper. And then lastly here we have this guy this is basically one of their troopers in blue with some accessories from eBay, some of the ones I pieced together. I think that was a Punisher belt that I cut up and re-pieced together. He's got this cool Vector with the strap, goggles from the Viper, just a kind of a spy type operator. Okay, so one more custom that I neglected to include in that section. So this guy is, I just kind of thought, you know what, it would be cool if the garrison had like a field commander and he looked a little bit different than everybody else in his squad. So I took a spec ops trooper that was all black and just took all the gear off of the garrison trooper and put the gear onto this guy, and now he is a squad leader for the garrison in all black, and he's commanding those guys back there. So I thought that really came together nicely, and it was a very easy custom. I didn't even have to take apart the figure. Like, I just took the gear off of him and put it on another figure. So final thoughts about these guys. If you are a military action figure fan and you like, you know, G.I. Joe and things like that, and you want to try to get some figures to supplement, or if you're doing Marvel Legends and you want some soldiers to use, this is a perfect way to get them. And unlike G.I. Joe Classified, they're really easy to find and they're readily available. You know, obviously there's still pre-orders and things like that, but you can go to Big Bad Toy Store right now and get most of these. And Series 3 will be out in a few months. That's supposed to ship in like October, November. That's going to be all female, so you'll have female troopers, you'll have female main characters, bad and good. There's also coming up here shortly, I want to say on Friday, the pre-order starts for the special deployment. So I'll put some pictures of that stuff up here. That stuff is looking great. That swarm trooper with the gold armor, that thing is beautiful. And that other new good guy, he looks cool. So this is a great time to get in on Action Force. If you skipped it, if you were maybe on the fence because of what you heard about Series 1 and the, you know, the rigidness and the stiff joints or whatever the case, I'm telling you, it's much better now as far as playability. So you might want to think about hopping in. All right, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.